Hey everybody, Max here. Today we're going to be looking at the DC Multiverse Batman Reborn Platinum Edition. This is the Dick Grayson as Batman from the Batman Reborn storyline when Grant Morrison was writing it back in the day. It's a really good storyline. I really enjoyed it, and I really like Dick Grayson as a character. I like him as Nightwing. I like him as Batman. I like the costume, and this has a wired cape, so I'm really looking forward to getting this out of the package and taking a look at it, seeing what we can do in terms of posability, and hope you like it. Stick around. I'll get it out of the package, and we'll talk about it. Okay, so here he is out of the package. I've been toying around with him, different poses. You'll probably see this in the thumbnail. I had him up on this flight stand. It's not a great one. It's not big enough for him, but I just kind of imagined with these particular hands that he comes with of him like jumping off a building into a crowd of thugs, and he's just going to take on 20 guys all at once. So yeah. Initial impressions that it's a good figure. It certainly looks good, looks balanced. I know that this body has been used before, but probably with the Nightfall Batman. I did a video called a non-boxing video about that particular Batman. I just kind of think of that one. I know it's the Nightfall Batman, but it's the same body that they're using for Dick Grayson, so I just kind of figured, well, that's Dick Grayson from the Prodigal storyline. So I would love to see a deluxe hardcover edition of that storyline, because that's the it's a storyline after Nightfall, Night Quest. So Bruce has got the mantle back, but he wants to kind of go off and dream it up again, and Dick is filling in for him. So it's Dick as Batman and Tim as Robin. This is before Damian showed up, and it's just a really good storyline. So that's the way I think of that particular Nightfall Batman as being. It's really Dick Grayson under the cowl. So this is the platinum version. So the darker blue, which I preferred, and I was surprised that my Walmart had one. And actually, they had two, and I bought both of them. So, but it's the same figure, of course. So let's just kind of look at articulation and work our way down. So the head, I do like this head sculpt. The ears kind of poke out a little more, and than what you see in the picture, but I'm okay with that. I can imagine Dick Grayson under here. So he looks up that far, and he looks down that far. So I think this is a ball joint, which I think may be typical for McFarlane. So I would like to see a little more range. The eyes look good. I like the blue, and all of it matches, so that's great. It's all, you can probably, it's all the same color, it's all molded plastic, nothing's painted. The only problem that I have is the skin tone. They could have gotten a little darker, a little more, because you can see blue underneath the nose piece, and here I am, my fingers blocking it, but I've noticed it on some of these style figures that the nose piece, there'll be a flesh tone underneath there, like they'll actually get underneath there, and other times there's not. So you can kind of see nostrils, but you can also see blue. So it doesn't quite cover the dark of the blue. So they didn't quite get that underneath the nose piece. So that's a little. It almost looks like he has a mustache, like a blue mustache maybe. But other than that, that's the only complaint. But flesh tones are tough. I know there's a little overspray here. A little disappointing, but it is what it is. Typical McFarlane shoulders, T-pose goes out that far. The rotating faux butterfly joint, the shoulder rotation. This one does its job. I just did a video on the Batman Forever Robin, and the shoulder collar comes free. It actually, I don't know if it's too big or whatever it is, but you can see a gap in the shoulder, so I'm glad that this one doesn't. And it can go all the way around. You have to get the cape out of the way. Bicep I think I may be leaving that part out of my videos. I apologize. I'm not pointing out that it has a bicep. I'm sure if you watched enough of these videos, or you know these figures, you know they have a bicep cut. And you can see the ratchet inside the joint, the elbow joint, so double jointed pinless, or pinned rather. I would love for them to be pinless. So good range of motion there. But yeah, you can see the ratchet there. Interesting. The gloves look good. I've always liked, like I said, I like this storyline. A little paint splash there. I like the storyline. I like this look. It was Dick Grayson believing that Bruce Wayne is dead and not filling in for Batman. He now is taking on the mantle of Batman, and he believes that he will be the Batman until he dies. And so he creates his own costume style, his own flair, and so this is his look. So he has these, and I always liked this particular belt that he came up with. I always liked this particular utility belt, and it's gold all the way around. This has the diaphragm cut instead of the ab crunch. This one actually gets a little more range of motion than some McFarlane figures I've noticed, or other figures in general that have this. He goes pretty far back and swivel around, and there's a little, I wouldn't do it, I'd be afraid I'd stretch the plastic or do some kind of damage or break the glue on the belt, but there is some movement there in the waist, and so that kind of aids in a little more of his range of motion moving forward. It's not great, but it is what it is. So I do like this Batman symbol, and looks like it turned out fairly well. No yellow around it, just big, black, and bold. Very cool. And some texture on the briefs. Pretty good musculature for this figure. I know this body, like I said, this body's been used before. Double jointed, pinned knees. You get that much range. And this is pretty fluid. The ease of posing is nice in these knees, I would say. They're not overly stiff. And, so yeah. And if you watched other videos of mine, I go off about this particular hip joint system. Not a fan. Definitely wish we had thigh cut. We know they can do it. This one's got actually a little more side to side in the hips than other McFarlane figures that I've looked at or sampled. So I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or the way the joints, this is the way they're supposed to go, because now I can actually get the legs a little more close together and get him to stand a little more. I kind of always feel like McFarlane figures, they look a little kind of bow-legged. Like the knees just kind of go in a little bit too much. And that's why I think a thigh cut would be much better, and a boot cut as well. So I like these boots, the style of the boots. Ankle pivot, up and down, side to side, rotation, and all that kind of stuff. They go like that far, not that far. And then your McFarlane toe articulation. So I couldn't help but notice when I was looking at this, like, dude's got some big old feet. Holy moly. Some size 27s. But I do like the toe articulation on McFarlane figures, even though it does make their feet look a bit bigger than, a little out of proportion maybe, but for the most part, I have used them and it does come in handy. I I think characters like Spider-Man and other agile comic characters should have those. That'd be great. Spider-Man especially, Daredevil, Nightcrawler, perhaps. So that's it for articulation. Let's see what he looks like with, like I said, these, whoops, left from right. So he's ready to rock and roll with the knuckle dusters, the knuckle tasers. Taser knuckles? I don't know, which one do you like? Knuckle duster, knuckle tasers or taser knuckles? Either way, I wouldn't want to get hit with them. And then let's go to this cape, this wired cape. Now, having just done the video for the Batman Forever Robin, I have to say that that cape is much better than this one. This is by no means bad, but the material of the cape, I like the material of that Robin cape much better than this one. This one feels like, it doesn't feel like cloth. It feels like the material you would see on, say, a tablecloth for a picnic, or a kid's birthday party. Kind of a vinyl. It's very thin. I mean, it's got a metallic sheen to it. Obviously, it's been in the box for so long that it's wrinkled. So, like, do I risk trying to iron it? It is scalloped, like Batman's cape should be. It is fun to toy around with. I've been kind of just leaving it flared out like he's jumping off of a building, that sort of thing. Or, perhaps running. Honest to gosh, I don't feel like I want to play with this too much because I'm afraid the wire might snap inside of there. But I know this is kind of a generic pose. And like I said, he comes with these gripping hands, but I don't know why, because he does not come with a batarang or anything to grip. So I wish they would have thrown in a couple of batarangs. That would be fantastic. All right. So there he is, and I'm glad I got him to stand. I had a little trouble with the Robin figure. But, so that's the Batman Reborn. Good grief. Batman Reborn. There's been so many different Batman stories. Batman Reborn, based off of the look from that storyline written by Grant Morrison. Honestly, despite my gripes with McFarlane toys, the articulation and everything and having pins and all that, and I think it should be 6-inch scale instead of 7-inch, but I'm a huge DC fan, so I want perfection in my DC figures. I read Batman for a long time, and just a huge Batman fan, and the whole Batman family. So I want it to be how I envision in my head what he deserves. So hopefully someday we'll get pinless joints and a thigh cut. I know we can do it. We've seen it with the new Red Hood, and maybe someday a traditional butterfly joint. So, but I do like the wired capes. I'm not so crazy about how the platinum editions are being released. That's one of the things that frustrates me about McFarlane is how they do their distribution. I would love to get a Question figure, but at this point, I don't know if I ever will. I'm not spending $100 for it, so I don't understand why everything just can't be mainline, or if it's going to be exclusive to a store, let us be able to order it online from that store's website. That way, collectors who want to get it can get it. So that's why I was surprised that this particular Platinum Edition, having found it in my Walmart, it gives me hope that I might be able to find the Question, or maybe that 90s style Huntress, which I would really like that one. That would probably be the first female McFarlane figure that I will buy because the scale looks good. I wanted the Cassandra Cain Batgirl, but it just looked so off. Just the legs were like 19 feet long. It was so wrong. And she's my favorite Batgirl, so I really wanted that figure, but it just looked terrible. So I just couldn't pull the trigger on the cost. But that if I can find that 90s style Huntress and the Question, I'm going to snatch those up immediately. So. All right, so thanks for listening to me ramble. I hope you liked the video. Have you been able to find this guy? If you did, what did you think? Any issues on your end? Let me know in the comment section, and I will talk at you later.